Welcome into a special Eastern Conference Finals edition of a Locked On NBA Insider Report. Antonio Daniels, Sirius XM radio host, and our Locked On NBA Insider joins us once again, helping us break down this Eastern Conference Finals between the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat. Going into the playoffs, we talked about Boston being one of the hottest teams in the second half of the season, and they have continued to ride that into the playoffs, obviously knocking off the defending champs in Milwaukee. At this point, is there anything really that's going to stop them, or is it just if they continue to, come through as they have been, is the sky the limit?
I told myself before the Milwaukee series, because I picked the Boston Celtics to win that series, that I'm done betting against Boston. I'm done. Ime Udoka has done an amazing job as a rookie head coach. He's done an amazing job at allowing Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to be the best version of themselves. But it's just not about those two guys. You look at what's going on in the Western Conference with Luka and the others, so to speak, around him. The Jalen Brunsons, the Dinwiddies, those are the kind of guys. The Davis Bertans, Maxi Kleber, Dwight Powell, those guys. And then you come over and you look at the Boston Celtics and you see guys being stars within their role. Al Horford was fantastic. Right? He was fantastic in his defense of Giannis Antetokounmpo. But then you look at guys like Grant Williams. It's going to be great to get Robert Williams back. So some of these other guys, Marcus Smart, these other guys that you put alongside Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they are what make the Boston Celtics go. And I tell you this, out of all of the teams over the last probably quarter of the season, the Boston Celtics defense has been the most impressive, especially in the postseason. You look at who they went up against. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, first round. Okay, you lock that up. You swept them. Then you go to the next round and you defend Giannis Antetokounmpo. So basically, in back-to-back series, you play two guys who many people think are the top two players in the world. And then an excellent job defending those two guys. So just the defensive schemes and how hard they make you work to generate efficient shots, you got to take your hat off to that Boston Celtics defense and Coach Ime Udoka.
It's not getting any easier. They're taking on the number one seed Miami Heat, and they go, as you like to say, as Jimmy Butler goes, right? Like if Jimmy Butler's on fire, they're going to win, and it's going to be easy. He's not. They're going to struggle. So with a great defensive team like Boston, how much pressure does that put on Jimmy Butler to really come and be Superman for this team?
Well, I mean, the thing is, when you're in the postseason and you're a star, pressure comes along with it. Right. That's the way it goes. And Jimmy Butler, to me, for the Miami Heat to advance to the NBA Finals, he has to be bubble Jimmy Butler. He can't be regular season Jimmy Butler. It can't be 18, 19 points a game, 6, 7 assists, whatever it may be. He has to be in the upper 20s, 30 points per game, because he's going to have to match the offensive output of Jason Tatum. But here's the thing. The thing that the Boston Celtics were really good at is they take away that star or make that star see multiple bodies. Now he has someone else. Jimmy Butler's really good at that. So the thing that the Miami Heat has is they do have Tyler Hero, who's a knockdown shooter. They do have Max Strus, who's a knockdown shooter. They do have Duncan Robinson, who's a knockdown shooter. They do have Bam Adebayo, who's extremely versatile defensively and a playmaker. And we don't know how healthy Kyle Lowry is. But the thing is, they can put bodies around Jimmy Butler that can knock down shots. If you look at the way the Boston Celtics defended Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, they built a wall. They built a wall, made them see multiple bodies, and then kicked it to other guys, and they had to trust those other guys to knock down shots. We saw the difference in three-point discrepancy between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics. Thing is, I don't think they'll have that same issue against Miami, because Miami has the offensive firepower and ability to space the floor to knock some shots down.
You mentioned the Boston Celtics, whether it's, Grant Williams, Al Horford turning back the clock, whoever it was coming through, you need those role players in those kinds of games. Miami, had some trouble even with the 76ers, right? Obviously, and they weren't at full strength. So are they going to be able to, if the pressure comes to Jimmy Butler, come through? Is this just a matter with this kind of matchup with Boston? Is this something where they're really going to just need to knock down their shots?
Well, the thing is, Miami all year, they have relied more on their collective group. All year they had the best record in the Eastern Conference, and Jimmy Butler wasn't bubble Jimmy Butler then. They've done it in a collective manner. Again, Tyler Hero had one of the best individual years for a six-man in quite some time. He was fantastic coming off the bench, 20 points per game coming off the bench. You have a veteran leader, a proven leader, championship leader in Kyle Lowry, and you put some of these other guys around. Again, Duncan Robinson has not been in a rotation in the first two series. But again, from series to series, the narrative will change. You know, just because you haven't been called on in one series does not mean you won't be called on in future series. So this may be a big series for Duncan Robinson because of Boston's ability to throw multiple bodies and eyes on Jimmy Butler.
What kind of series will this be? Because obviously with Boston's lockdown, make it really ugly kind of defense, is that going to be able to slow down a team like Miami that can shoot so well?
But you just said it. I think that's the kind of this is going to be a quote unquote old school Eastern Conference series, in my opinion. It's going to be ugly, it's to be expected. It is to be expected. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be physical, because if you look at these two teams, you have number one versus number two. Would you expect anything different? These are two teams that have history. These are two teams where you always hear about Heat culture, and now you can hear about Celtic culture, obviously. So this is a series where these two cultures will clash. I expect it to be a old school, really old school Eastern Conference grind out, almost completely different of what we're expecting out of the Western Conference, which is a lot of offense and a lot of up and down.
True, because they got some big bodies too, so it's definitely going to be physical out there. Do you have a pick for us? I know you're not betting against Boston last series. Are you still continuing that, or are you not sure?
I have to. I have to. Right. They haven't done anything for me to bet against them. They haven't done anything. Obviously, you can look at it and say, well, if Chris Middleton was playing, well, he didn't.
He wasn't.
He didn't. Yeah. Right. And they did exactly what they were supposed to do. They took care of what was ahead of them. And the thing is, you and I at a different time talked about the Western Conference, right? We talked about the fact that what a surprise it was, not just for Dallas to beat Phoenix, but the fashion in which they did it.
Yes.
We understand that this Boston Celtics team had home court advantage. So you go back to Ime Udoka choosing to play the last game of the season, not punt it away for this exact reason, but they beat Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks by 28 points, though. So again, they didn't just beat them, they beat them down. But it's a quick turnaround. Marcus Smart's not healthy right now. He has a sprained foot, so we'll see his availability come game one. But to answer your question, I got to go with the Boston Celtics. I got to. I know what Heat culture is about. I know what Jimmy Butler's about. Kyle Lowry, proven champion. Eric Spoelstra, one of the best coaches in the league. But what I've seen from Boston up to this point defensively, I can't bet against.
I think it's going to be good either way. And I'm hoping for 7, just because I selfishly would like to see 7 full games of the series. But
amen to that.
It very well might. So we'll see how far it goes. Antonio, thank you as always for joining us with your wisdom. I'm Kainani Stevens. This has been Locked On NBA.